right now, and maybe some ideas or some things that you may be indicators that you may be straying over into your partner's lane.
Or you may not even know what your lane is. Because I think one of the things that I think that is important, and we talk about assessments and knowing where you are. In order to go where you need to go, you need to know where you are. And so what are some of the ways to know how do you decide what your lane, how do we decide that?
Right, and this is in no particular order. We're going to give you 5 things that you may want to know, maybe an indicator that you may be straying over into each other's lane a little bit. Like if you're working on a project, or you're working on something, or you have worked on something in the past, was there a constant stress or tension in there when you were talking about that particular thing?
Right. And I think a part of it was that, and I think that tension comes from wanting something done and not knowing how to do it, but also being able to say, well, you bring some strengths that I don't have. So there's something that you bring that I need. So let me chill and relax. And let me leverage the fact that Gil is so analytical and he is so good at lines, and because he went to school for engineering. So he is like super smart and he loves equations and geometry. And so I'm like, why not leverage that? Why do I have to just bring what I bring to the table?
Because you think about that, if you're stressed out because of something, it may be something that you are not getting the way you want it to be done. How many of us have always said, I'll just do it myself?
Yeah.
You have it in your mind that you want to do it, but you just say, I'll just do it myself. Because you don't want to depend and rely on your partner to do that thing for you. It could be something.
And sometimes it's not that you don't want to depend, because to me, when I would say I'll do it myself, it's because I am now and Gil is later. And even that can be a setback, because being now means that I would not have gotten the goal achieved as fast as he did, because he has some skills that I didn't have. So even in wanting it done now, you have to understand that the other person may need that time to work it out, to think about it, to execute it. And so even when it comes to how things are done, your personality is going to play a role in, like I said, I'm now, Gil is later. And so even in those roles and responsibilities, you have to take into consideration your personality, you have to take into consideration your disposition. You also have to take into consideration the amount of time you have available.
Right.
If I have more time for something than Gil does, then of course I'm going to be able to have more time to do that. And so all those things have to be taken into consideration when you're establishing your roles and responsibilities.
Right. Another thing that you may have to is, if you're doing something for your partner and you lack some enthusiasm and passion to do it, you might not want to be thinking about straying over into their lane, because it's not your vision. It's not something that you have a desire to do. Just like Renee had this idea with painting in her mind. So just imagine that I just take the brush and I just start.
God said he loves a cheerful giver. If you don't do it with a bad attitude, don't do it.
I'm just going through the motions, y'all. I lack the passion. I lack the purpose, because she's seen it in her mind. It's something that was very exciting for her to see, because she knew what she wanted. But I come alongside of her and I don't have any enthusiasm and I don't have any passion for helping her pursue her goal, or whatever the goal that we have established together, because we decided we wanted to build the salon together. Yeah. But I'm going through it with a lethargic, lackadaisical attitude about it. So that passion is going to be very, very important for you, because it is something that is going to fuel the goal. Right. It is going to fuel your drive towards achieving that goal.
And I think a part of it is understanding that even with that, I am an extrovert, Gil is an introvert. So even when we achieve, even when we're working at something together, we're going to both bring a different level of energy. And so this is establishing roles and responsibility. It's not about male or female. It's not about introverted or extrovert. It's really about you as a couple deciding, what are my strengths and what are my growth areas? Because I can honestly say that my weaknesses are his strengths and his strengths are my weaknesses. And if we can leverage that and we can always lean on each other, it's going to be a lot easier for us to achieve such great things, because you both bring something different to the table.
Because with that being said, the third one is, you don't want to do the comparison, because that's going to lead to me trying to compare myself to Renee and Renee trying to compare herself to me in that scenario that we painted for you. Imagine that I'm trying to do
Create
what
the
she
colors.
does, or I'm trying to, just like I'm trying to tell her what colors it should be, I'm way over in her lane. I'm way out of the way. I'm just gonna probably have a wreck, y'all, because I'm in the area that I have no idea what I'm talking about. I had an opinion, but I didn't know what I was really talking about. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm not a color person. I didn't see it, but it turned out beautiful, but she seen it. So don't compare what you are trying to achieve with the way that the other person is trying to achieve it, because
Right.
you're going to have those collisions. You're going to imagine her trying to stray over in my lane, just like she was trying to tell me how to paint.
Right.
You know, she's comparing
How
her
you gonna
ability.
how you gonna throw straight lines like that?
Right.
Yeah.
She's trying to compare her ability to paint, just like I was trying to compare my ability to pick colors.
Right.
So those are things that you don't want to think about.
And you know, another thing that I think is important to remember is to complement, not to compete. When you are working on establishing roles and responsibilities in a relationship, you have to understand he is on my team, he has my back, he has my best interests at heart, and vice versa. We're not competing. We are complementing each other. What he has is what I need, and vice versa. So don't compete. That's a really big way to basically stop things from moving forward.
Another one. Are you tired? Are you stressed out? Are you anxious about the goal that you guys are trying to achieve? This is one that you may be straying over into the other person's lane, just like Renee had the vision for it. Imagine that I'm going through these motions and I'm going through the calisthenics of trying to achieve what she wants. I'm going to be tired and exhausted because I don't have fuel to help me get through what she had envisioned, what she had seen. I'm all in her lane because I'm expelling energy, trying to get hyped up, get psyched up, get pumped up for what it is that she had seen. And therefore, I'm going to be stressed out.
Yeah. When the Bible says two is better than one, because both of us are going to bring something different to the table that the other person doesn't bring. Because we're both going to be alike, and one of us is not needed. And so establishing those roles and knowing where your lane is, and the way that you discover what your lane is you have to be honest about what are your strengths. This to be something you guys can sit down and talk about. You know, what are some of the things you see that I'm good at, and what are some of the things you do see that I'm not good at? You know, the other day when Gil came home, he said, "Babe, this is a good." You know, I found I am a thrift store like bargain shopper, and I found a really beautiful dining room set. He was like, "Babe, this is a really good job. Thank you. I really like this." That meant a lot to me because that's not something that he would do, and that's not something he would have the time to do. But when you can see your spouse doing something that you wouldn't do and that you can't do, and you can still compliment them, and you still can encourage them, that goes a long way. You cannot, two of you can't be the same. You have to be okay with being different and realizing that you both bring different strengths to the relationship.
Absolutely. And then the last one that we want to give you is, if you have a goal that you're trying to achieve and you are not progressing, you may be straying over into each other's lanes. A lack of progress towards achieving the goal that you have collectively come across or collectively set can be an indicator that you're straying over into the lane. If I'm already thinking about, just imagine we sit there, spend time arguing about paint colors, and we sit down and arguing about, or having a disagreement about
how it's going to get it up there
and how it's going to be done. But guess what, y'all? Ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing moving forward.
And even with this move, you know, Gil was the person who organized and loaded the truck. That was he did it, and he did a great job at it. He organized, he loaded the truck, and it was time to get everything off the truck. There were things, everything made it here, nothing was broken. But when we got here, we had to unload, and then it was my responsibility to organize. So my sister was like, "Oh, I get it." So he is using Tetris in the truck and figuring out how everything goes there. And then you do Tetris in the house. So you have to figure out, you have to take a blank room and figure out where everything is going to go. And I remember the first time we had our first salon, and I was sitting, well, it was not first, it was first salon, our home and salon together. And I was sitting in the room and I had my eyes closed, and Gil was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, when I close my eyes, I can see the room finish." He was like,
"Can't do it, y'all."
I said, "What?" I said, "You can't do that."
No.
So there are things that you can do that come natural to you, that are normal to you, that to other people is special. So don't try to be each other. Don't try to downplay. Don't try to step into the other person's lane. Don't dismiss the importance of the other person's lane. Because Gil being able to take lines and make straight lines, that was important to us achieving. Gil, even when it came to us moving, his ability to look at spaces and use every space in a way that was compact and organized, it allowed us to make this move. So these are the things we're sharing with you, because we're able to do the things that we do, not because we're alike, and not because we always agree, not because we don't have disagreements, but because we are different. And we both bring something different to the table. And we both have roles. We have distinct roles that we operate in. And I respect him in his role. He respects me in my role.
Absolutely. So if you're just not joining us, we're talking about roles and responsibilities on this light.
It's called Where is Your Lane?
On this back in San Antonio together. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us for a few minutes. If you have anything you want to comment or while we're just talking, y'all know we'll just go. You can actually put it in the chat.
Yes,
we actually can see the chat today. So I'm actually monitoring it. A couple things that popped up already, but I can see it. So you can chat.
And
you
we
can
love you guys. We are so great back again. You guys are amazing. We hit 1 million views on
some video.
A couple of days ago. No, on the overall channel.
Oh, okay.
On the overall channel, we hit 1 million views. And we're about to hit 1 million views on the video As Long As I Live. The video that we created, the skit about you. And Melina was singing Kiki Wyatt song. And so we love you. We're so grateful for you guys for being a part of our community. We have hit 1,600 subscribers. 16,000. I'm sorry, 1,000 subscribers. And we love every single one of you guys. We respond to your comments. We are praying for you. We are so grateful to be able to serve you. If you guys have any things you want us to talk about, questions or topics, because what we try to do is we try to listen to the comments. We try to read them and see the questions you guys are asking. And we try to bring it to you in a way where it's still fun and relatable, but where we can bring it from a perspective that it's going to help you to know how to apply it. Because it's easier for us to share what we do versus us telling you what to do.
Right.
That's what we won't do.
So we won't do that, but we will share with you some things that you can become aware about when it comes to roles and responsibilities in your relationship. The first one we're going to talk about now, this is the positive stuff. This is the stuff that you can actually start implementing. You can start doing. You know, we are all about doing some actionable things.
Right.
If you
watch habits,
if you have
a new life.
If you have watched us, if you have hung out with us, you're going to realize this ain't new, y'all. It's just being applied in a new way.
Right. And we're going to hold you accountable for applying it, because we don't want this just to be something that you watch. We want to be a part of a community where we're all working every single day to create new habits and a new lifestyle, and to be able to enjoy marriage and to enjoy relationships.
Because it's fun. And
it is.
And the first one that you can do, you gotta be hot. When I say hot, for those of you who have watched us and hung out with us, you know we're talking about honest, open, and transparent when it comes to your communication. So in order for you to stay in your lane, you got to be open and honest about knowing what your lane is. If you know you are straying over into an area that you are not comfortable in, you're kind of causing some collisions, you're lacking progress, you're not communicating very well. These are the things that you have to be aware of. We're always talking about being self-aware of the shortcomings in your relationships. We call them growth areas. This is the things that you'll want to start applying. There is no shame in saying,
I'm not good at that.
Hey babe, I'm having difficulty with this, or I need your help on this, or what do you think about this? Open up and be honest and open about it. Be transparent, be vulnerable, because by doing that, you're going to not only give your significant other, your spouse, the room to help you grow, you're going to empower each other and to accomplish your goals when it comes to those things.
And I think one of the reasons why it's so easy for me to just up and move and, like, it doesn't bother me, because Gil and I are so close. He is my best friend. He is my teacher. He is my lover. He is a very important part of my life. And so when you build that kind of relationship with your spouse, doing things new and starting over again is not foreign or difficult, because you realize, it makes us closer, and it makes us depend on each other more. So don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't know, or hey, I'm not good at that. Hey, can you help me with that? Because you need to be able to ask each other for help.
Because it goes both ways. Renee has taught me a lot. And that's a part of the second one, is knowing and identifying your strengths and your weaknesses.
Your own, not your spouse.
Say that part again.
I look for the strengths in others and the growth areas in myself. I am not trying to figure out what Gil needs to do different. I am not trying to figure out what Gil needs to grow and change. I'm looking at where I need to grow and change. And I'm looking for the areas where Gil is growing and changing, and I'm encouraging him in those areas. And the other areas I'm praying for him about. Not that I don't tell him, but I say the sandwich, one encouragement and two areas, one problem and two encouragements. You can't constantly, especially with men, you can't keep telling them what they're doing wrong over and over and over again.
And I would say that even goes for anyone. If you constantly are in a relationship that is critical and demeaning and doesn't encourage you, don't build you up, you may want to reevaluate not only the whole relationship in context, but some of the things that are happening in the relationship, some of the dynamics, some of the things that we're talking about that you may need to start embracing and opening up to improve your relationship, because that's what this is really all about. The information that we share with you guys is not just in theory or anything like that. This comes from almost 35 years of actually applying it in this one relationship that we have built. And that's what we're really sharing with you guys.
And I think it's important to understand that when Gil was talking about, when people say, oh, I'm just giving you tough love. Love shouldn't be tough. No. So if the only thing someone is doing in your life is constantly tearing you down or being negative or derogatory, that the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. When people can't tell you how they feel, they will show you. Mm-hmm. So be mindful of and be careful of relationships where people are always constantly critiquing you and criticizing you and tearing you down, and they're never bringing, again, we talked about the positives and withdrawals. In a healthy relationship, I'm going to tell Gil things he doesn't like, and I'm going to tell him things that he does like. I'm not always going to be looking for an opportunity to tell him where he needs to grow. So I'm looking for the growth areas in myself and the strengths in others. Right.
So the next one is listen actively. This kind of goes along with the hot communication. The part of the hot communication part, when it talks about listening, is so important because your spouse is going to, or your significant other is going to be communicating things that you need to be aware of. A couple weeks ago, we talked about it, the faux pas that I had when I wasn't doing this active listening. I wasn't really applying some of the things, and I did not hear the sentiment and the emotion and the feelings that Renee was trying to express to me because I was so focused on the task. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go back and look a couple weeks ago about
last week's episode.
Yeah, was it last week?
Facts over feelings.
Yeah, facts over feelings. So in this area, you want to be actively listening because your spouse, your significant other is going to be communicating the things that you need to hear that is going to be vital to you understanding where they're coming from. If you're not hearing, you're not listening, you're not being open and honest with your communication, you're going to miss something. And that very thing that you miss is going to be the thing that causes the conflict.
And I'm gonna break. So we had a comment and someone said, oh my gosh, you need to shut up. You talk too much. You need to let him talk. You need to stop cutting him off. And you need to just, and I was like, okay. Thank you for your feedback. We are very open to being corrected and corrected and telling us when we're doing wrong. I have no problem with that. But I also understand that sometimes we deflect or we project onto other people. Gil and I have been best friends and married. We've been together since we were 18. And because I asked him, I said, do I cut you off? Do I cut you off in your thoughts? And I think because we've been together for so long that we kind of,
you read each other's minds.
Well, I think it's like
what am I thinking?
It's like a dance where we kind of, and so if it offends you that we both kind of talk like
finish each other's sentences.
Yeah,
that's what happens in a relationship.
Yeah, it's not that we're being disrespectful or that I'm being dishonoring of him or that he's being dishonoring of me. That's just we just are kind of like one like that. So if that offends you, we apologize. That's never our intention. So, but
the next one we're gonna talk about is seek guidance. Seeking guidance doesn't mean somebody has all the answers. Well, this is something that when we talk about seeking guidance, this is just getting a new bit of information that you may not have, or that you have that you need to be made aware of, and how to apply it.
Yes.
You know, I always say people don't have a knowledge problem.
They
Some
have
do.
an application.
Most people have an application problem. You know the things that we probably are not saying anything revolutionary that you don't already know, but how do you apply it, or have you been applying it? And if you haven't, that's where you need to work on. Those are the growth areas that you need to focus on, is the application side. So when we talk about seeking guidance, we're talking about somebody who's doing what you want to do. They may be doing it a little bit better. Take those things and apply to your own relationship. The things that we've been sharing with you guys for all these videos and all this stuff that we put out there is things that we have learned through trial and error, that we want to help people get better at their relationship.
Shorten your learning curve.
Shorten that learning curve. Shorten the
Yes.
learning curve. So that's
Yes.
one of the things that we talk about when we talk about seeking guidance.
Yeah. I was talking to my cousin KJ, and she was saying, "Cuzzo, you know, our generation, we just don't want to be told what to do." I was like, "What?" She said, "We don't want to be
That's
told
hot.
what to do."
That's hot right there.
And I said, "But that's dangerous, because the Bible says a wise person learns from other people's mistakes." So rather than feeling like we have to have it all, again, it goes back to the P word, pride. We all have to be open to, like Gil said, somebody who's doing it better than you. If I have what you want, and I'm doing what you want, and I'm modeling your goal, why would you not listen to that person? Because for me, we have mentors and we have people in our life that I can tell you how I learned A, B, C, D. Everything that I've learned that I apply in my life, it's because I saw it modeled from someone. I love the Bible, and the Bible is the foundation of our life, but God gave us examples of those people, and that's all we want to do. We want to be an example of what it means to be in a healthy, masculine and feminine relationship with a man and a woman, where I am a woman and I'm feminine, and he's a man and he's masculine, but we work together, and we're not